Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 116 of the Xbox Hall of Gamers podcast. This week, I'm joined by Cameron.
Hey.
And Kiara.
Hello, welcome.
We're going to be talking about a lot of news because there's quite a bit going on at the moment. But first, I want to talk about a community question. As always, we do the show live on Twitch. Come say hi. Xbox Hall of Gamers is the place to find us. If you know, come hang out. We love interacting with our chat. We do the show live usually on a Friday, but sometimes on a Saturday or Sunday, depending on your time zone. But make sure you just join our Discord to keep up to date with where we are and what we're doing. But let's get straight into the question we got here. From a new one from J Dubs, who says, "Do you guys ever get bored of achievement hunting?" Which is a great fucking question. Kia, I'm going to throw this one to you first. What do you think?
I'm in a funny kind of boat where I just kind of play for the actual completion. So like I just don't I don't get bored of it necessarily, but I will just try everything and then not stick with it. I'm a little bit better lately, and I generally just go for the multiplayer stuff. And the things that really hook me are when I just do the multiplayer things. So I'll start a bunch of games and somebody wants to play something. I'll go, yeah, I'll play that, but I'll only do the multiplayer stuff and then just be like, okay, I can satisfactorily just put this game aside and I'll leave it and I'll come back to it when I'm old and gray and, just kind of feeling that, it's a little bit of that now, but and then I'll just be like, well, I'll just, when I'm in the mind frame to just do single player stuff, I'll go do that. But everything else is online multiplayer, and I don't get sick of that really at all. So it's the finding people to do certain things that I get sick of. So, yeah.
I guess that in this age of server shutdowns and all that kind of shit, the online stuff becomes a bit more of a ticking clock than anything else, right?
Yeah.
Cameron, what about you?
I find that the only time I really get bored of achievement hunting is when I'm going for that last grindy achievement.
Sure.
Just because, I'll play anything under the sun. I'm trying to think of any others. I've gone off. What's the right way to say this? I've expanded my horizons a little bit more lately. And playing games
Horizon's on the PlayStation, but that's fine.
Playing games outside of the Xbox
who's coming to PC?
Yeah, true.
And PC is Xbox,
yeah.
So
same thing. Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of achievement hunting itself, I'm not getting bored of achievement hunting. I'm getting bored of how some games approach achievements in itself. There's a lack of creativity with some games.
I could definitely relate to that, and I think that. We've talked, this has been a topic since the RGS days of, when games overstay their welcome with their achievement lists. The classic example is Seriously, right? Where it's you play Gears of War, you go through the campaign, beat it on the hardest difficulty, do some of the weapon stuff, and then you do a bunch of the multiplayer. I hosted 50 matches or whatever, which is quite a few, but not a crazy amount. And I got 100 kills with each of these weapons. And then it's cool. You've done everything else in the game, 10,000 kills. And you're well, I'm at maybe 1,000, maybe 2,000 if I've been playing a lot. And you're cool, yeah, you need to double that. You need to triple that. You need to start just getting those fucking numbers up, get into boosting sessions. And I think for a long time, it set a precedent that it was every game needed to have some ridiculous achievement at the end of it. Whether that was a big grind or a really a really overly difficult challenge, or a big multiplayer thing that you needed a bunch of people for that you could basically never pull off and without boosting. And I think we kind of got away from that for a little bit. That was definitely when we started, and now it's a bit more even. But even so, I think you're kind of right where it's it's not an issue necessarily with achievements, but maybe an issue with game design in general, because now it's less that the achievements ask too much for you. It's that the actual the game asks too much of you. People don't complain about the achievements in in Valhalla, right? Assassin's Creed Valhalla. They complain about the amount of repetition in the game itself. Because it would be a different story if that game was a 10-hour, 20-hour story, and then like another 80-hour grind to finish out the last achievement, right?
Yeah.
It's an interesting way to look at it though, because you could also say like, what if Valhalla had like a 10 to 20 achievement list?
True.
think,
Yeah,
like, the
and it's like you don't have to
gaps-
engage with any of that content.
Yeah.
I feel like, I mean, our community would definitely
Mhm.
appreciate it.
I didn't mean so in that regard. I meant so like in terms of having a bigger list also means that you're getting pops more frequently. But this is a massive game. If that was the same length game but having like 10 to 20 achievements, it would be such a like I wouldn't ever touch it.
I don't. It never really bothered me. Like the thing is, at least for me, for achievement hunting, the game's either complete or it's not for me. I don't really care about like if the game has 100 achievements or it has 10,
Yeah.
or and if it has 0 gamer score or if it had 10,000. Like it's not that's not what it's about for me. It's basically ticking things off a list in terms of like putting things in a box and being done with them.
I guess my question to you then is like if you had a 200-hour completion with 10 achievements, is that dopamine of getting each of those achievements enough to keep you going? Like, I know that I get.
That's the thing is that
Like I was gonna say, I get irritated if I'm doing a game for a night and do like, I put like 5-6 hours in after work and I haven't got a single achievement to show for the grind.
yeah, for me, I don't really like it doesn't really matter that much to me. Like, there was an old joke that when Halo 3 was out and they were like talking about like the VidMaster challenges, and there was a joke that Halo 4 was going to have one achievement for zero gamer score that like was the VidMaster Ultimate achievement, and that was the only achievement in the game, and you had to you had to do like an entire lasso run in one go on Legendary one. Anyway. And the whole thing was that, like, I mean, like, was it Quake 2, I think, came out with, like, the arcade version that had 0 achievements or 0-point achievements? Like, yeah.
You could do that entire Quake 2 game. I haven't done it, but it won't load because it's entirely 0 achievements, 0 gamer score achievements. It won't load onto your profile until you play the next game that loads the achievements in. So, yeah.
Yeah, which is I think it's like a TA quirk that they kind of have around only updating when they see that your gamer score number has changed, not your achievement total.
Yeah. I personally really just don't like gaming the meta. I don't care about that. I'm in it for the video games. I've been in it that way the whole time. I game on every single platform. I've had every single platform, but there are huge games that have stuck with me for over the years. For example, going to the Nintendo stuff, I played every single Zelda game before, I think leading up to the Wii, but then as soon as Breath of the Wild come out, and it changed a little bit, it wasn't really Zelda anymore. But it was called Zelda. So I'm just kind of like, well, I mean, how much does a game have to change before you like the series changes, you move away from a series, you move into other series and stuff like that. But with the gamer score, like people who have played 4 achievements have experienced more games than anybody else has like ever experienced. I mean, people are buying 1 or 2 games a year, and that might be FIFA and Call of Duty, and then that's it for years. And then people getting achievements has so much experience that could be tapped into for various reasons, right? So
it makes me wonder if I ever want to remove the part of my brain that gets frustrated for not starting a game after I've completed one.
Yeah. And I appreciate the fact that the gamers that do that have so much experience, which is why I like being part of the community. I don't care for so much of the the bullshit that goes along with trying to find groups and all that kind of stuff. I like to be part of the groups that do that stuff, but I don't like the little groups of people that are just like, oh, well, you have to do this, you have to do that, or,
I mean, in any kind of, I mean, like gamer score, like the proof's in the name, right? Score. Like we're talking about like rankings. We're talking about scoring. We're talking about like at the end of the day, gamer score is a dick measuring competition in a lot of ways. And I've always been of the belief that we should, basically like pay attention to your own score, play the games you want to play, unlock the achievements you want to unlock, and put your own goals in place. But I can 100% understand why there is a culture of, people looking at like leaderboards and looking at like genre leaderboards or competitions or like TA stuff or TA badges or completion percentages or ratio hunting or like I totally get it, because the kinds of people who are interested in game score are the kinds of people who tend to be interested or obsessive.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you say, like gamer score itself is a meta game to begin with, right?
Yeah.
It is the meta game, and so breaking that down into other subsets of other ways that you can compete and kind of keeping it interesting, because again, this has been going on for a long time. It's an interesting thought, but I get what you mean, right? Like it breeds. The problem is that when you have a ranking system, you inevitably breed some sort of elitism from those at the top and those at the bottom.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, something funny actually that I thought of just then is that every game that ends in 1,000 gamer score, everybody knows that that's the final number without DLC, right? But there's always still a complaint about the 12 gamer score and the 17 gamer score and the odd numbers.
Yeah,
that are part of the obsessive culture.
You leave Ashen alone.
Are just like, it's like, you're going to get the 1,000 gamer score if you're going to plan on completing the game. But if you're not planning on completing the game and you're not getting the 1,000 gamer score, like it. I mean, what are you doing? You're not completing the game if you're trying for all the score, kind of. But I mean,
I don't understand the whole BS.
That
though,
number
like,
does.
Like ending your score with a 5 or a 0. Who gives a shit? Like, obviously, people do give a shit, but
they do. They give a lot of a shit. But I think part of that is like that's mostly Microsoft's fault, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like they standardized it as 5, 10, 15, 20, 100, basically.
They could have done the PlayStation route and done trophies and
100%. And I think that's just kind of they just did it for ease of use. But I think the thing is like the reason it's an issue is because it's not the norm.
Yeah.
And people like having round numbers.
Yep.
I mean, I know like people started getting upset when even like DLC was like a round number, but wasn't like because it used to be like you would get the original thing was like 1,000 gamer score for the base game and then 250 gamer score for a DLC and maybe another 250 on top of that to make it 1,500. But then you started getting ones like, oh well, this one has like this game has like 115 gamer score for the DLC, and everyone was like, I don't know how I feel about that, because it's not the nice round 1,000 number, but it's also not like a 1,500 or 1,250. Like, it doesn't feel quite right. It feels like it's missing.
Always felt like to me it should be proportionate to the say if you had like a 10-hour game and your DLC was like 2.5 hours long, then it should be 250 gamer score or something like that.
Sure, but I get the argument. I guess the problem is that like, how do you? Some of that's hard to quantify, and also some deal I'm glad that I'm glad the system is more open for this now, and even though some of it does personally frustrate me on like an autism level, if you'll pardon my phrasing, but like in terms of like in a way that bothers me at like a neurological level, I have enough self-awareness that I can be like, this isn't a problem with the system or the industry. This is the problem with me. This is the problem with how I categorize things in my mind and how I like things to be in boxes and tick them and all that kind of stuff, right?
But working with devs, though, I can tell you, like, this is the biggest afterthought. Like, there are so many
100%.
more important things.
100%. And yes, like, I can rationalize it relatively well in the same way that I rationalize the fact that I have discontinues and unobtainables that I will never, ever be able to... Like, my completion percentage will never be 100% and cannot be. And, yeah, like, that's not like a great feeling, but also like I sometimes have to take a step back and remind myself that like why I do this.
The thing that I ultimately want that would completely break the system, but then no longer goes to the devs, goes to Microsoft. I've said this before. I actually want them to add multipliers. How many people talk about, oh, I finished this game 100 times? Well, fucking show me. Where's the proof that you finished this 100 times? If you add how many times you've done this achievement, how many times you've done this achievement. So it's like, oh, I've done this achievement 2 times or 3 times or 4 times to individual achievements. But if you just get, I've got 1,000 gamer score in this, it ends at the 1,000 gamer score and that's it. And then there's a multiplier to how many times you've finished the game over and over. It tells you 2 times for each achievement. That's a second completion.
So,
and then like you could get rid of the multipliers if you've got 1,000 gamer score twice, and then just have a final multiplier 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times.
Okay.
You don't have to keep adding the 2s and 3s and stuff to the individual achievements.
I want to ask a question with that. Just branching off from it. Are you saying that in terms of like stacks?
No, well, I mean, you could do the stacks if you wanted, but if you had one game with one set achievements, and just say that there weren't any stacks, and then you've played that single game, let's just say, you don't even have to finish Avatar Burning Earth to get all the achievements, right?
No, not even close. You play 5 minutes of the opening level.
Yeah.
But if there was just let's just say, the same amount of achievements for doing all the combo moves and then a final one for finishing this, like the game at the end, then you would have like a complete 1,000 and then you finished it once. But you've got that 1,000 points or whatever. Even if it was like, I don't really count the just doing the combos. I'm just saying in theory.
Instead of doing multiplayer, then like when you were saying that, I was on the train of thought of, well, if I've completed Rocket League once, but I really love Rocket League, but I'm just like I don't want to continue playing because there's nothing left to milk. What's to stop them from implementing something saying like, all right, let's start a new list. Rocket League is still complete on my profile. I've completed a list once.
I mean, that's essentially what he's saying.
Yeah. I think it's just different forms of how to do it.
The way I normally approach some of the games that I really, really like is because I play across multiple platforms. This came up in a random party the other night. Tron Evolution. I played on the 360.
Yep.
I played the Games for Windows Live version and I played the PS3 version because I loved that game. I was more than happy to go to every single platform and complete the game. So if you wanted somebody on the Xbox playing the game multiple times, if they love that game, they're just going to continue playing the game. You'll get more stats on the back end. Microsoft will get more stats. This person is playing it 2-3 times. They're playing it 4 times. They're playing it 5 times. And they can track that even more and go, oh, where are the trends going? People are doing this outside of the gamer score and all of those things. So instead of having like insignificant, Game Pass, for example, has a bunch of people start a game when the game comes out, 2 or 3 achievements, and then don't touch the game again because they don't like it.
Yeah,
the stats are completely messed up.
Well,
there's no completions happening except for outside the people that are really sticking to it, and then you can see that people are dying off, and then people call the game a dead game after 2 weeks because people's statistics have gone down. So, if you want to track a game properly, you could start looking at who is playing it and how many times those people are playing it.
But I imagine that Microsoft has access to a lot of that stuff already, right?
I'm sure
they
they
have some
do.
of the best analytics in the business.
Yeah, devs
devs
should
too,
be using that data. They should be using their achievements.
But I get what you mean, though. Yeah.
That's also one of the problems, though, because the perspective I have is that there's a huge gap between developers and consumer and the people who are trying to analyze the data and media and stuff, but some of that media is giving out false information because they don't have access to the dev and the Microsoft data.
I mean, but that's just media.
So they're still getting only the public data, which is the dead game after 2 weeks. If you made that public by having more of those stats available, like how many people are doing stuff in a public forum, you'd be able to do a lot more with the data and there'd be more accurate data out there.
But also, media would never do anything with it because it's too much work. That's unfortunately, that's the end thing where they're just like, well, this is like, also the AI would not, the AI that writes that article, because no human's ever going to write an article ever again, would just be like, yeah, whatever.
So, G-Dubs, what we were trying to say is we'll never get bored of achievement hunting because we have a bloody podcast about it and we talk about it every week.
That's part of it, yeah. I guess I realize
we just went on the most massive tangent.
I also realized, I didn't even get to answer the question yet, but I definitely don't get bored of achievement hunting as a concept. I I'm kind of with Keo though. Is I kind of get maybe tired of it as a community like thing. Like not necessarily like, oh, I hate the fucking achievement hunting community. I love achievement hunting community because we have a lot of common ground. But I don't like I don't like the elitism about it. I don't like the you have to play this way kind of thing.
You have to get 0G achievements.
Yeah, look, I mean, like, like I joke about it, but I don't actually give a shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, like I have an under 2.0 ratio, and it's like there are certain people in like the true achievements community who would look at me, who has 2.3 million gamer score and go, yeah, but you're under like 2 ratio, so it doesn't really count. And it's like, motherfucker, I have played 2,443 games. Yeah. Like
different goals.
Yeah. Like, yeah, so a lot of them are shit, but a lot of them have been fantastic fucking experiences. And I think I don't get bored of achievement hunting, but I do sometimes get bored of games. And part of that is like the TikTok brain rot, like attention deficit thing, where I was like, I need something new all the time to make sure that I don't think about the impending death of the universe. But
have you put like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna use the Patreon fund. We're gonna get you a second monitor that's exclusively set up for slime videos, for Subway Surfer
and sock cutting. Exactly. While I work on fucking Age of Empires 2.
No. You spend your whole.
Hey, I looked at that achievement list. That's like 300 hours there, buddy. I don't. Come on, there can't be 300 hours of content in that game.
Oh, Rome wasn't built in a day.
No, it wasn't, but it was destroyed pretty quickly. I think that like recently, like I've talked about over a few months ago, I was eating really good when it came to video games. I was playing just great game after great game after great game, and just be every week coming in and be like, this is fucking amazing. You need to play this. You need to play this. Having a great time with this. Play this. Play this. Play this. And now things are slowing down a little bit. And it's like, okay, well, we're in a new year. We don't have a huge amount of new releases. I don't have a huge backlog of stuff that I haven't gotten to yet. I kind of caught up with where we're at for the most part. There's a few things here and there that I still need to get to, but nothing's like really exciting me at the moment. But I'm still playing some like decent games and stuff that I like to talk about on the podcast. But nothing makes me come in here and be like, you need to play this right now. Like, drop whatever you're playing, whatever you're doing. Play this weird, obscure indie game that I discovered.
There's certain games out there though that just aren't gelled with your attention. Like for me, RTS is like one of the big genres that I jump on.
Yeah.
Like I think part of it is that like I love RTS as a concept, right? I really enjoy Halo Wars, right? But I'm fucking shit at it. Because I was actually looking for something new to play, and like I Cameron has been badgering me about playing Age of Empires 2 for a long time, and so I did look at the list, and I was
everybody.
Yeah, that's fair. I just happen to be in the vicinity while you do it. Yeah. And so I was like looking at the list, and I was like, I could start this, but I'm like, how much of this am I actually going to enjoy? And I don't know until I start it, but I will play it at some point, I think, because I played a lot of it as a kid. Will I finish it? I hope so. But
honestly, I think it is a project game. There's probably like 10 really difficult achievements in there that will test you, but like I can remember 1 or 2 of them and be like that like when you complete like Lasso Master or something that seriously
for sure.
Such a memorable moment.
100%.
It's just one of those games that if you just approach it, do a campaign every other week, you'll just chip away at it over time.
Yeah, it's probably not a bad idea.
Don't just go, I'm going to do 400 hours in like a week because I'm...
which is unfortunately is the way I play games a lot of the time. Yeah. And so I burn out quite quickly if I'm not careful. But I have been trying to jump around stuff a bit more often. I'll talk a bit about that when we get to what we've been playing.
It'll be interesting when you touch Halo MCC, just because you're going to have the... Halo MCC as a list has different factors. You're going to have the nostalgia factor. You're going to have the playing a game that you're familiar with at a different angle. Mm-hmm. Like whether it's difficulty or speed-based. Doing miscellaneous tasks,
I'm actually looking forward to MCC. I probably will start that relatively soon once I have some space on my fucking hard drive. Because Jesus Christ. Yeah. But I think to answer your question there, I don't really get bored of achievement hunting, but I sometimes get bored of the games that I play. I need maybe a little bit, I need a little bit more of a hook. And because narrative is a big thing for me in video games, I sometimes can find that difficult because so much of games these days are very gameplay focused in terms of like, live service games, like, hey, yeah, there might be a little bit of a story in there, but once you're done with that, welcome to the treadmill. And that just
Yeah.
doesn't really do it for me, which is a lot of the reason I don't play those kinds of games,
I'm
unfortunately.
trying to think of a
Yeah,
game that you've played that's like very gameplay heavy.
Like recently?
Like I think of the okay. Well, just because I guess leading into the news, Bellatrix cleared 1 million copies. People,
Yeah, right. Like that is gameplay all the way through, right?
Yeah.
And like a lot of roguelites are in that genre because that's like that loop.
Yeah. Like it makes me think. Yeah, would you enjoy Hades to the same level if you took out the story? Because
No, fuck no. That's the thing is that like the story was kind of the interesting. I'm like Hades. Like I do enjoy. Obviously, I enjoy games that play well, right? But I get what you're saying. But so much of Hades was the music and the art and the story, and like even though some of the narrative pieces were kind of a little weak in terms of like their like relation back to the story, like the epilogue stuff fucking sucked. But
yeah,
I really enjoyed those first 10 runs of that game, fucking top tier. And I really enjoyed like it was a whole package, and the gameplay was an important part, but it had a lot more to support it. Whereas when you get into something like a driving game, that's where I'm like that's where it starts to get difficult for me. So like Burnout Paradise has no fucking story whatsoever, and it's still probably
gameplay.
like fantastic gameplay.
Yeah.
But I'm playing Need for Speed Unbound at the moment, right? And it's like there's a bit of a story there to kind of push you ahead, but the gameplay is just not quite gripping me as much, and so I'm struggling to find struggling to push myself to play it. I have been playing it a bit this week, but yeah.
That's why I'm starting to dig survival games a little bit more because you have to dig for the story. You start off, it is 100% gameplay because you have to work out what the fuck you're doing, and then slowly you think there's no story and you start to uncover these little things. And the thing that did that for me was Subnautica did it really well, and I thought that was fantastic. And now I'm like, well, what have these other survival games got hidden in them? And then I'm like just digging around trying to find
unfortunately you played basically one of the best ones.
I know.
That's the problem is it's a hard one to get back to.
Yeah, but yeah.
But we should probably move on. Cameron, you mentioned some news that you dug up for us. What do you got for us this week?
Yeah, so I guess I'll quickly just touch on the Bellatrix story. So it's cleared 1 million copies. If you haven't played this game yet, it is fucking amazing. I haven't really talked about it because I haven't popped an achievement in it. I've been trying to find the right period of time where I can just go, this is going to consume my life. I need to just be able to sit this down and just have a few days off and just really get into it. Essentially how it works is the game is based around poker hands. It doesn't incorporate gambling or anything. You just have to hit a certain score to progress the level, essentially. And then there will be joker cards that add certain effects. So you can have like certain multipliers and all that. It's hard to explain, but as soon as you it's one of those games that as soon as you do the tutorial, it will click, and then you will not be able to drag yourself away from it.
Brad has been talking about it a lot as well.
Yeah, it's Kirby, I think, as well.
Yeah, it's kind of taken the world by storm in a really great way.
Yeah, I'm interested in checking it out.
Yeah, I've been tempted, but we'll see.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think it's been relisted on all the storefronts after.
Yeah, it had some sort of controversy about it being related to gambling, quote unquote, and I know the dev was not super thrilled about it.
Yeah.
Because
it was rated one way, and
already.
Because I think I got taken off the New Zealand store for a little bit. They also confirmed they're doing a mobile version, which I think is obviously a real smart move.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just jump, like where you got all the marketing, just jump on it. Be like Vampire Survivors, where it just kept on the.
I think that's the kind of that's actually a really good comparison of like a relatively straightforward, simple idea with quite a bit of expandability and like a real ease of like jumping into.
What are the indie hits out of nowhere the last few years? You got like, obviously there was Among Us during COVID. You've got Vampire Survivors. You've got
Fall Guys.
I'd say Potato to a maybe not on the console community, but definitely on the
I mean,
PC.
that's Phil Spencer's fault, though.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, like if you want to talk about like outside of Xbox, like Lethal League is, sorry, not like Lethal Company rather.
Yeah.
Lethal Company has been huge. People still,
Yep.
you know, I still see it showing up my feed all the time, and I'm like, not interested. But whatever, you know.
I mean,
doing nothing.
Helldivers is probably the thing that's kind of taking the most attention
Yeah.
for me at the moment.
For sure. Yeah.
Just because it is very memeable.
Yeah, and it's like it's got a good community focus too. Yeah. And did you hear the rumor that they were looking to get the guy from Starship Troopers to do
really?
one of the commercials?
That would be
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So someone asked him about it, and he just responded with the needing to know more intensifies GIF, which is just great.
Yeah.
So and then he deleted it, which probably means that they got in touch with him and were like, hey, what's going on, eh?
Yeah. Just get Sony behind it. Do an ad.
Sure, why not?
All right, let's talk about Remedy. So Remedy is planning.
I've heard of them. Yep.
Yep. You hear about the R and the Rockstar not being happy, and I'm kidding.
Yes, I also heard about that.
I think I need to know a little bit more information.
All right. So Remedy Entertainment has said players should expect a more regular cadence of sequels for Alan Wake and Control. After struggling for over a decade to make a sequel to the 2010 original, Alan Wake 2 was released last October, while a sequel to 2019's Control is currently in development. Remedy, as CEO, discussed plans for the two franchises as part of the Finnish company's full-year financial results, which were published on Wednesday. I think I saw another article too saying that the budget for Max Payne was on the same
Max
level.
Payne 1 and 2, the remakes, are going to be the same as Alan Wake 2, which is nuts.
Yeah. So I'm very... Sorry, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, good time to capitalize on bringing those games out again.
I'm very interested to see how their release schedule is going to be, like with managing multiple projects, because Remedy, even though I do love them, it doesn't seem like...
Well, they technically have two studios, right? Because they technically work between America and Finland. Yeah. So I'd be there's probably a little bit of splitting that can happen there, but they're not a huge studio.
And I'm interested to see like the multiplayer aspect of like their Control spin-off as well.
Yeah, I'm very curious about that.
But yeah, that was a quick bit of news that I thought I'd include in there. A lot of this news is going to be very quick and fast this week.
Yeah, that's okay.
Dead Island's 2's second story expansion, So LA, will be released next month. The second story expansion will be made available on April 17th, shortly before the game's Steam release on April 22. Sorry, Alex. Call me out this morning.
I can't
2 hours.
I can't believe the game's not on Steam yet.
Epic exclusivity deal. That's why. Actually, I'm pretty sure Epic at GDC, while I'm thinking of it, said that developers that published with a 6-month exclusivity deal on Epic would retain 100% of the cut.
Wow.
So yeah, there was that, and there was something else I can't think of, but I saw a clip of that. Just to give context to anybody in the community, Steam takes a 30% cut of your sales to publish on the platform. But
Epic takes 12%.
Yeah, Epic takes 12%. It's going to be very interesting to see how it works out, because obviously Epic gives away a ton of free games, which eats into their bottom line. But I mean, they own Fortnite, so. Going back to Dead Island 2, the expansion is set at a large California music festival which has been built on ancient grounds. Deadly virus sweeps through the valley, turning its inhabitants into ravenous zombies. Is a rhythm calls from beyond the beat of the autophagy. Story description reads: lured to the festival by a warning message, players must explore So LA's ruins and put a stop to the otherworldly menace. I'm really hoping this DLC is good, because the first one was utter trash.
Large Californian music festival.
I wonder what they could be riffing off of. It could be anything. Could be anything.
Anything at all.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be fire.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah.
Yep. So that's going to be interesting. Kia, I'm not sure if you had the chance to read this. Final Fantasy XIV is getting its own Xbox currency.
Yeah, so I do know of this news because I actually checked out I normally keep up with the notes of the patch releases and stuff like that. So basically, it's going to be a way to pay for your account subscription that isn't going to the Square Enix website.
Right.
So yeah, so you'll be able to locally pay for your subscription instead of going through the bullshit Mog Station stuff that you have to do on every other platform.
So this
Now,
is a convenience fee.
So the thing is that there are more. You can pay any other way if you do go through the website.
Yeah.
Just your credit cards and all that kind of stuff. But I think the only way through the actual Xbox itself will be through this currency.
Okay.
So yeah. Because I mean, they have other stuff on their website, and they have an actual store where you can buy things for in-game, like microtransactions, but they didn't do any of that in the game. They have dedicated a website to that where you can go and get extra mounts and clothing and all that kind of stuff. So that is separated completely. But then there are bullshit things like 4-people mounts and stuff like that that pop up every now and then that aren't always there, that people just rush to get when they are available and stuff like that, and themed around different seasons and stuff. That stuff, I don't see that stuff kind of coming as something that you can pay using the coins for, because I mean the thing with the currencies for basically every other game with microtransactions is that you're basically buying things for the game or in the game for the game.
Yeah, like Neverwinter, you're buying like Zen to use in their store.
Yeah,
that sort of stuff.
But no other platform has Final Fantasy coins. Like at all. So they can't introduce that as a currency to multiple platforms. So as far as I'm aware, it's exclusively going to be really about dealing with the subscriptions. But whatever the microtransactions that they've kind of referenced, I can't see it being anything else except for the subscriptions. Unless they're going to...
game time.
Yeah, they won't do exclusive Xbox mounts or anything like that unless they really work something out, because that's cutting out a huge percentage of the audience. Now, they've done some really nifty stuff before where they've locked certain things behind KFC or whatever in Japan.
You said KFC and Cameron was like, I'm locked in. I'm locked in. What are we talking about again?
Yeah. And then you've not... Yeah, and then no one else is... People are still trying to get those, and eventually, like, 1 or 2 of those things have popped up in the Mog Station, like, in the actual store to buy off the website. But, yeah, it would be really cutting out a lot of their audience if they try to do any of that stuff with the Xbox exclusively.
I'm trying
but yeah,
so
that
hard
might
not to
be...
thantion.
No, there's no KFC tangents happening.
Yeah. I mean, a couple of years ago, you could buy... it was around the release of Stormblood. You can actually... Which is like the second expansion. You can... you go to Domino's, and basically you're getting subscription time or a free copy of the... I think it was actually a copy of the expansion or something, as... I think maybe it was when the expansion after that came out, Shadowbringers. Yeah. So and they were basically giving away stuff like that, and you were getting some exclusive in-game items and stuff for codes.
Yeah,
but
there
you
was
still
a
had
big advertising push when that came out, right?
Heaps and a huge one. So it was maybe like free trial time or something, and then whatever they were doing before they made the trial free. I don't remember. But yeah, so the currency, we'll see. Maybe you can pay for new subscriptions, for new expansions and stuff with it, or something like that, like getting access to the later content. Don't know.
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it should be fine though. So I think it's going to be a lot better than basically trying to do it on any other platform. It's going to be simplified with this currency. So only on Xbox.
Anything else I need to know about Final Fantasy 14 before we move on?
Well, yeah, actually, it's out now.
Yeah.
Like it's probably out. As I've said before, if you've started the trial and that's where you're starting, stick with the trial. Don't bother with getting the starter pack version of the game. But if you have an existing subscription on another platform, then definitely get this, because it means that you'll have an Xbox copy of the base game and the first 2 expansions. You definitely want those because that means you don't have to pay for them again. And it might be tempting to go and get them just because you've only got until April, I don't know, was it 19th or something, to actually redeem the perk that they give you. But unless you've, like, it's the same content as the trial. So, and as soon as you redeem the starter pack, you're paying for the subscription and you're no longer having free access to the content that you will have just by having that starter pack.
So get the most out of it.
Yeah. Besides the couple of things that the starter pack can give you as extra, like full access, like I think retainers and stuff like that, extra things, it's not worth it really in the long run. Just play for as long as you can without it. That's it.
Cool.
Go start it up and join the Discord, and then go and look at the Final Fantasy channel and add your names in there so we can, get some people going.
Let Brad
Sounds
take the
great.
distraction so he doesn't make you start Final Fantasy 14.
Thanks, Brad. I need to not lean on Brad so heavily as the only person that's really talking to me about this.
That's half the
When
reason
he
you want to be on the
gets
show.
I
get
mean,
it. You just
already
want to
doing
spread
German
the word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When he gets sick of it, I'll be alone again, and I don't want that.
All right. Moving along, Overwatch 2 Heroes will be free at launch starting in Season 10. In a developer update released on Tuesday, game director Aaron Keller said players will no longer have to purchase Premium Battle Pass to unlock new characters at release or grind for hours to unlock them through the free track of Battle Pass. Man, they fucked up Overwatch 2 so
I was going to
much.
say, when was the last time anyone talked about Overwatch 2 in a positive way?
Yeah.
When they stopped adding achievements.
Yeah, actually, fair.
Like, oh, thank fuck we don't have to do this again.
I
I still
mean-
have to go finish the game. The only thing I have to do is the characters now. That's it. But yeah.
Jeff Kaplan had a good idea of where Overwatch should have gone, and it just hasn't been the same since he left, unfortunately.
It's a real shame. I mean, like, I have no real interest in Overwatch as a game. But I think, like, as a property, I think it's an interesting idea, and I think it has legs.
It was a license to print money, though. Like, Overwatch 1 was one of my favorite. Like, I don't like the achievements in Overwatch 1.
Sure.
But I love the gameplay. And I got the completion. I did the boosting sessions and whatever. But it was such a license to print money of, do a movie, do a animation. Like, I mean, look at
all the huge amount of porn that they brought out. Yeah, no, I know. I've seen a lot of it.
Number one result on Pornhub.
I mean, you can't buy publicity that good. Like, honestly. Yeah, joking aside, but just like, it is insane how badly they fumbled that game by
it's insane
just completely breaking it.
Yeah, it's insane. Like 7 years later, that we aren't seeing like spin-off 2 and 3 of Overwatch, and
we haven't seen exactly. We haven't seen Blizzard be like, we're doing like Overwatch this or Overwatch that. It's just like that franchise is basically dead.
Yeah, sad. But yeah, just a quick note for that for anybody that wants to get their Overwatch completion back up to date, which I need to do. I'm just going to quickly blitz through everything else. So Capcom is delisting Age of Booty on the Xbox 360. It is down to, I think, $1 US.
It's like 99 cents or something at the moment. Yeah, definitely get onto it if you want it.
Yeah, really fun game.
It goes down.
A little bit of frustration with some of the challenges, but like I finished it. It took me a long time. Multiplayer is also very easy to boost.
Yeah, I saw a Vidix mention today. Just one of those weird things that some developers are just delisting because the 360 store is going down, not realizing that they can
just leave
keep
it.
the game.
Yeah.
All right, cool. You want to talk about Persona?
Yeah, Persona 6 is basically, I mean, there's been a lot of talk about the game and what it's going to be. Apparently, it's still going to be set in a high school. There's been a lot of leaks. I've been following a few of them. It's very interesting. But apparently, it is coming to Xbox. They said basically close to day and date is the rumor. Very curious to see, but whether it's going to be a Game Pass is probably that's the big question for me. Is this a Game Pass day one? Because I think it's a bit different when you have something that like you have five,
Yeah.
five, which was a port, and then you had two and four, sorry, three and four, and then you had three reload, which again, these are all kind of, they're not like the next Persona game. So I'm very
Yeah.
curious to see like this and God, I can't remember the name of the new one that they're doing. The Persona team's working on. It has the weird Mazio game.
I was gonna say, what's their other games?
Shin Megami Tensei.
That's it. Thank you. Like that's not coming to Game Pass. I wonder if
No,
it's
exactly. But yeah, but it's coming to Xbox. So
I wonder if it's like one of those things of like Yakuza, like the man who erased his name's got a Game Pass, but not Infinite Wealth.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably the way they're going to do it. And I think that's probably smart. So like their second tier stuff.
Yeah.
Like because we saw Tactica came to Game Pass day one, but I doubt 6 is going to come to Game Pass day one.
But then you've also got what's that other game? Memoria. The one that got shown off the showcase.
Yeah, Metaphor. Yeah, Metaphor ReFantazio.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one is also coming out this year as well, maybe. So like I think
so. This year or next year?
Yeah, it might be next year. I don't know if we actually got
a release date. Yeah.
Yeah. But apparently it's been worked on for ages. So I'm very curious, but like I don't think that's going to be Game Pass. I think that.
Yeah. Down. So claim that Persona 3 Reload and Metaphor ReFantazio are coming to Nintendo Switch too. So probably sometime next year.
So sometime next year, probably. Yeah, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Have back catalog fuel the interest and then release a new one for financial gain.
Yeah.
So
exactly. And I think smart move. Like I fucking 5 was great. I really enjoyed playing through 3 Reload. I have Tactica downloaded. I just haven't put a lot of time into it. But yeah, I'm excited for the next Persona, but I'm very, very excited for Metaphor. Like Metaphor is what I'm there for really, because taking those systems and taking them out of a fucking high school. Because like as much as I like Persona, like I love the conceit and the idea, but 3 was in a high school, 4 was in a high school, 5 was in a fucking high school, and 6 is going to be in high school as well apparently.
What about a university?
Yeah, like a university would be more interesting, even at least, right? Like I get it because it's like, hey, you couldn't have it be like a workplace or whatever because it's like hey, you need to have 20 friends to do social links, and you're like, I'm 30, I don't have 20 friends. Are you kidding me? When the fuck would I have time with that?
God,
when the fuck would I have scheduled times that I could go and hang out with these people every single day to make sure I get their social link to 10 and then never speak to them ever again? Like, come on. But yeah, so I mean, like, in my mind, they can't do any wrong. I know I'm a fanboy, but very curious to see kind of what that's happening there. But I'm glad it's got, like, I'm glad this wasn't like the other ones came to Xbox, but we're just going back to the PlayStation thing.
Well, you think back like when we were doing RGS, how many times we talked about like where are the Japanese studios and that? And we got
we were like, where's Persona? Where's Yakuza? Yeah, exactly. And they eventually came.
Just be
so hopefully we just can see that continue.
And then Final Fantasy.
Yeah, Final Fantasy was like, we were on Xbox for a little bit, and then they were fucking out.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's move along. Evil Dead, the game's... sorry.
Grindiest achievement.
Yeah,
now I patched it.
Saber Interactive is leaving Evil Dead players with a little gift as it winds down development, making one of the Evil Dead achievements easier. Players still working through the achievements will now permanently benefit from double XP and soul points, making one of Evil Dead the game's grindiest achievements easier. While it's not horrific enough to make it onto our list of best horror games on Xbox from the TA article, now the best time to give it a go. I love when studios decide like, yeah, we're winding down development. There's not enough players. Just do double XP.
Yeah, that's smart. I mean, to be fair, they should have done like triple, but double's nice.
Do like the gear stuff of 6.66.
Yeah, come on, just put like a 10 times multiplier on it, make it crazy.
Doom? Probably Doom.
Doom did.
Doom did 6. Yeah, Doom did that.
That was the 6.66 was their update. And then they released all the content free for the original.
You had to grind it for a long time instead of buying it. Yep.
You guys going to check out Evil Dead or?
One
Mad Rockatansky, Nick has been trying to get me to buy this game because it's not Game Pass.
Really?
So,
because I've been
Texas
playing
Chainsaw
I've been playing Call of Duty with him. So if this is something that he'd be interested in, maybe it's something I should look at as well. So
I mean, look, if it goes on a really good sale, maybe I pick it up. Like I think they need to put this in Game Pass. Like this kind of thing lives and dies by Game Pass. And if
Games
they're
with
not going to
gold.
do
Bring back games with gold.
exactly. This would have been a good Games with Gold game. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, like it looks like fun enough, but like the TA estimate is like 100 to 120 hours.
Yeah.
So even if they half that, that's still quite a chunky game.
It's only
But like, I wouldn't mind having a
2.4
bit of a
ratio.
multiplayer game, but who knows? Yeah,
Yeah, $45 at the moment. Not worth it.
yeah, it's a little
Alright.
expensive. Yeah,
Last one. Skull and Bones update finally fixed the unobtainable achievement. So I played a little bit of Skull and Bones. There was an achievement that was broken, which was basically in-game messaging system. So you just had to greet players with an ahoy from the quick
Yep,
chat.
super simple.
Yeah, super simple. It was broken at launch. Took until update 1.3 to get fixed, and now you can do it. So yeah.
I mean, you have to also try and. I was reading a thing, a post on Reddit that was basically like, exactly. Well, yeah, Skull and Bones are like Skull and Bones might be the most boring game I've ever played in my entire life. I was like, wow, that's rough. They're like, I was literally falling asleep at my computer trying to play it.
The ship gameplay is fun, but it's the problem of it's not fun compared to Black Flag. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool. All right. I'm going to get into Game Pass updates.
Yeah, do it.
Yes.
So, over the last week, we have had Lightyear Frontier on Game Preview of Achievements, Console, PC, and Cloud, MLB The Show 24 Console and Cloud. We have The Quarry, Console and Cloud, which... Is it both version? Is it...
I think so, yeah. It looks
Okay.
like it is.
Cool. Evil West came yesterday for Console, PC, and Cloud. The 26th of March, we have Terra Invicta on Game Preview on PC. And then 28th of March, we have Diablo 4 on Console, PC. Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 Turbocharged, which is... I think this is right. It is just the base game. It is not the Game of
not
Year
the DLC.
edition. Turbocharged is just their sub name. whatever you wanna call it.
Subtitle. Whatever.
Console, PC, and Cloud, and then Open Roads with Console, PC, and Cloud, which I'm pretty keen to check out.
Annapurna's latest game looks good.
1st of April, we have Ark Survival Ascended on Console, PC, and Cloud. I'm probably just going to see how it is.
Is that? Yeah, I'm curious to see kind of what they're doing with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
I've
really
got
game.
I've got a few friends that are massively into Ark, so I'm going to see what their reaction is. And then 2nd of April, we have F1 23 Cloud for EA Play. I believe it's already on Game Pass. And then Super Hot Mind Control Delete coming Console, PC, and Cloud. Leaving, we have the Hot Wheels Unleashed Game of the Year Edition, Infinite Guitars, and MLB The Show 23.
Yeah, I guess a recommendation for Hot Wheels Unleashed, if you are planning on doing the game at all but just don't have the time for it, do the DLC. The DLC is expensive. There are 3 DLCs, and you can knock them out in like half an hour if you know what you're doing. And then eventually just pick up the game.
Yeah.
Cheap on its own. Do the base game separate later. Just be done with it. So
I think the Game of the Year edition has been on a few sales for like, 10
It has
$20.
definitely.
a
Yeah,
load
yeah.
of sales. Yeah, and at times even cheaper getting the game of
Because-
the year anyway. But
Unleashed 2's kind of got the same expensive DLC thing, so I'm just waiting to see. It's like, did they just mess up with the first one and they've just course corrected? But...
See, the problem I find with the first game is that the DLC achievements specifically are just do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to play through any of the content in the DLC.
Oh, that's weird.
So you don't get past the first mission in the first race in all of the 3 DLCs because you don't have to do them.
Well,
Don't have to do them for the achievements.
Are the achievements, there's 3 achievements per DLC. One is play with the character, play Unleashed, get like an Unleashed score.
It's do a quick race because I did this yesterday. Do a quick race with on one of the themed tracks from the pack. Get the Unleashed goal in one of the levels in the pack, which is like the first race.
Yeah,
and you'll get
just to give
the
context to the
achievement.
audience. Unleashed is your best time trial. Score.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Which you can do on the first race of all of these 3 packs,
Yep.
and then upgrade a car from common to rare or whatever the next level is on each of the DLCs.
Which might be the only kind of one that might be like a little bit.
Yeah, because you just need some gears, which is like the upgrade currency where you've got the normal money for buying loot boxes, and then you have to trash the cars, like just scrap them to get the
I would
gears.
say the main downside of this leaving Game Pass is it might just be that access thing of like me and Kia actually grinded out the gears to get the completion, and that was like maybe 1.5 sessions.
Yeah, not long.
It might just be a little bit harder to find somebody willing to do that with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of teetering around maybe doing this, but the kind of the RNG and grind and stuff kind of put me away
It's
from
only
it.
one track. It's one track that's going to be frustrating. But that one track I spent, like, I'm good at racing games, and I spent an hour and a half on it.
Yeah, I don't like how floaty the cars are as toys. You just bounce around so much on the tracks too. So
there are certain cars that are good, and some people will get them out of their blind boxes very quickly, and other people will not get them at all.
Or 2 or 3 times, like me, and then never, like
fucking bullshit.
Shadow soon.
Sorry, pardon my French.
That's RNG for you.
All right, let's get into games we've been playing.
Yeah, I want to hear about Bluey.
So I went back and did Bluey because, you know, themed month, themed game.
Yep.
Have you guys played Bluey yet or not?
No, not yet. I'm saving it for my next milestone. Which
I'm
is
not going to play it. I just don't. No, it doesn't matter.
Okay, so I obviously got it for I got it for Stephanie for Christmas. The problem I have with the game is it's great that they got the voice actors and that, but everything is just too janky. Like, this is one of the worst outright games that I've seen them publish, and they're like, you know, it's completable and all that, but there's just no quality control.
Right.
But I mean, to the demographics that would typically play this, I mean, they're not gonna really.
Well, I mean, like
they're gonna
the examples you had were the quality control being leading and hand holding, like to teach you how to find something in, like, say, Paw Patrol games.
Yeah. So
you were saying.
Yeah.
So,
the reason I played Bluey and I played Paw Patrol World back to, like, you know, pretty close together. I'm pretty sure Matt's done Paw Patrol World, right?
Yeah, I did it over the weekend a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
So the thing with Bluey is, like, the voice acting, and that's great. I'm glad that they got the proper actors in, but it's very much one of those, the environments just look janky, and it pulls you out. It's meant to have 4-player co-op, but the co-op breaks in certain things of, you know, like, just one character will go to the screen and the other one will, like, drag it back, kind of that approach to multiplayer.
Yeah, right.
I haven't played Paw Patrol World's multiplayer aspects, but the developers for that game have clearly put, like, a little bit more thought into, this is a kids game. We need to give the players options, like, I'm trying to think of the three. There was skip dialogue. Oh, character auto select. That was the one thing.
Yeah,
for
really
a kid.
smart. Yeah, there's a lot of smart stuff in that where it's just like it'll swap to who you need.
Yeah. So the only time that it breaks is with Zuma, because Zuma is your character that you use for over water using the hovercraft. That one you do have to manually swap to, but everything else you'll go to an objective, and it will. If you've got this setting turned on, it will just automatically swap to it, which is great for a kid. I played this, tested it out a little bit. Percy then took over and played a few different levels. I cleaned it up, and then Nikita thought it was such a cool kids game that she did it on her profile as well. Like, it's probably the most well thought out kids game that I've seen in a while.
Agreed.
Other stuff, basically, you've got your objective markers that just has paw prints leading up to that particular objective that you need to do. I think all the collectibles except for the help quests are listed in the menus as well, so you know which ones you're missing. I'm trying to think of what the third.
There's a lot of good quality of life stuff for a game that's very, very simple, but it's surprisingly well developed.
Yeah, and you think a lot of those games too just feel very much like a cash grab. Like, this felt like it's only 4 levels, but I feel like I would be happy putting my kid in front of this
Sure.
compared to some of the other stuff that, like the what is it, Paw Patrol Save Adventure Bay? Is that the one with the really bad vehicle control?
Yes, I think so.
There's I'm trying to think of the names.
I've played so fucking many of them.
There's one that is essentially like an assortment of like missions and like mini things and all that. Like this is a proper hub world kind of like do this mission in this largish area, but 4 different areas.
It's not like level based like the other ones.
Yeah. So yeah, Bluey, unfortunately not that great. I will just continue watching the TV show with my kid. Whereas in Paw Patrol World, I highly recommend anybody of kids that, 3, 4, 5, 6, probably like the perfect game on Game Pass for them at the moment.
So Artax Games did this, I believe. I'm looking at the Xbox website. It says developed by Artax Games. Have they done anything else?
I don't.
Because I mean, like, how far did the Paw Patrol games come from their first game to their
I still haven't played the first one.
3D Clouds is the developer for
okay.
Patrol World. They did Grand Prix.
And Race with Ryan. And All Star Fruit
Racing. So if they started with Race with Ryan, they've come a long way.
So they did All Star Fruit Racing, Xenon Racer, Race with Ryan, King of Seas, Blaze and the Monster Machine. They've done quite a few kids games now, so they've obviously gotten better over time.
Well, yeah, I was pretty sure they were the people who did the Grand Prix stuff for Paw Patrol because like there's so much vehicle stuff in this game which is kind of thrown in there. I was like, weird.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I was like, it controls surprisingly well for a game that's not usually about vehicles, but it's like, okay, yeah, because it's the people who did the vehicle one. Anyway, we're spending way too long talking about fucking Paw Patrol. We need to talk about some other games.
Yes.
Mate, this is like day to day for me. What are you talking about?
Yeah, Jesus Christ. I will quickly say that I finished Alucard, which I talked a little bit about last week. I was not overly impressed, I got to say. Which is a real disappointment because like Zelda is like the sort of top-down Zelda stuff is my childhood. Like Link to the Past is one of my favorite games ever made.
Yeah.
And I was kind of hoping it was maybe be something in that kind of vein, but it really isn't. It's a very, very simple game where basically there are 10 chapters, 10 or 11, depending on how you look at it. And every chapter you basically go into a dungeon, do some very basic puzzles and some very basic combat, find a few collectibles, and then sometimes fight a boss at the end of it. And then every time you're going in there, you find the souls of people and you're trying to bring them back to life. Other people who've been to the dungeon who have been petrified by dying in the dungeon. And over time, you're kind of rebuilding the world in a way where it's like there are 5 guardians to find, but you find one and then you find the other and then you find 2 of them are twins. And I was kind of like, did you guys just kind of run out of development budget? Because it really feels like there should be another zone here. Like I feel like this game has 4 zones and then a final zone, like a final boss zone or something for the 5th one. But it's like, no, we've got 3 zones and a boss at the end for the last one. And I was kind of like, okay, it feels like there's maybe something missing here. It's got like an interesting kind of world building thing where it's the whole thing where you kind of realize it's like the cycle of like this divine person with the bell goes and does this thing and brings the world back, and then the world collapses in on itself because everyone infights and stuff. And so it's got kind of like, it's got the thread of an interesting story. It's nearly there. You're like, okay, there might be something here, but it just is not quite, it's just maybe a little bit too basic. But it is relatively straightforward. Like I said the other week, it has an assist mode, so you can just put the damage to 50% or 100% off. So like you can just be immortal, just roll through it. But the combat is relatively straightforward anyway, so you shouldn't have too much trouble. Like I was kind of hoping for maybe some more abilities or some more stuff, but there isn't really a huge amount of that. It just kind of feels like a little bit too basic.
It kind of, the first thought that jumped into my mind when you're saying all this is like, why hasn't there been a Legend of Zelda kind of game that is like redefined? Like I think back to like, Link to the Past and all that kind of stuff that was great in childhood. Like it's just one of those genres that doesn't really seem like it's ever gotten any better.
Yeah, I mean, there's one that I played. There's one that I played a long time ago on the Xbox. I'm trying to remember the fucking name of. I haven't completed it. I know that much.
There was
that
like a top-down one that I played that was like very. It's got a green
And you-
cover.
you use like bracelets and stuff.
Story of
Yes.
Seasons. So
No, it's not
no,
Seasons.
No,
no,
Story
no,
of
that was a
Seasons.
red cover and the green cover. Oh, there's a Minish Cap, which was like a yellow and green cover.
Well, Minish Cap was the old Zelda one.
Yeah.
Minish Cap
So-
was great.
Yeah, yeah. The thing
Um,
about the Zelda games, like, is that they always did things different, especially with the DS games. But the peak, I think, was the 2D top-down Story of Seasons and Story of Ages, where
Yeah.
if no one's played those games, you
Yeah.
could start Story of Ages and then finish the game, transfer using a code to Story of Seasons, and that's technically part 2 of the story, and
Yeah.
you can go and do both of them, and then you have like a complete story. And I think you actually even get something after that, like extra
There's an extra
there's
final boss.
an extra final thing.
Yeah.
Or you could start the other way around and start with Story of Seasons and then go to Story of Ages and have a different ending of sorts. It was really, really interesting. what they did with
Stories
it.
of Betham Full Moon
Mm.
was the game I'm thinking
Oh,
of. Which
yeah,
is
so very
much,
close.
very much in that vein of
Mm.
of that like top-down Zelda game. I put like 10 hours into it apparently. I need to go back and play it, but
I'm thinking of a different one. 50,
but
60
it's
Expedition.
it's fantastic. But yeah, like I know what you mean. Like I really feel like there should really be a market for that. But I don't know. I feel like maybe a lot of people have tried it and just kind of not seen the success. I know there was that one like very small game that was like you kind of went to different areas around a square. I think it was. I can't remember what it was called, but I remember playing it a long time ago.
Yeah, there's one
They
on.
just
There
haven't-
was an idea at Xbox game that I can't think of the
Yeah.
name of, but I can picture the
I
cover.
mean,
art
I
in my
guess
head.
like Garden Story kind of went down that route as well, just not quite. It kind of had like maybe a different take on it, but
I mean, you can you can extend it out to even games like probably Nobody Saves the World, and Turnip Boy and that kind of stuff as well.
yeah, Turnip Boy is probably Turnip Boy is like very very heavily influenced by those games, but it's almost
Well, yeah.
it was almost a parody at that point.
Yeah.
Well, they even say with those games that they're doing different styles in the
Yeah.
format. Are they going to do another one in a different style again?
Almost
or something,
certainly.
or-
If
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple of games like that that are definitely taking their inspiration from big games and doing different things in their sequels.
I've got one of those Turnip Boy commits tax evasion pins from last year's PAX somewhere behind
That's
me.
great.
Nice.
One of my favorite ones.
I also played Figment Journey into the Mind, which is the original game. So I played Figment 2 when it came on Game Pass.
I thought you did this a while ago.
Yes, I did Figment 2, which was on Game Pass.
Yeah,
which came to
I
Game Pass
thought you did
first.
Figment 1 when it released.
No, I didn't actually. I never got around to it, but my Xbox has been taken up by someone in this house playing a lot of Dragon Age Origins for some fucking reason. After they got done playing a shitload of Baldur's Gate, they just went back to anyway. So I haven't had access to my Xbox for a little bit, so I've been playing stuff on PC. So
You should,
Figment,
you
which-
should message Xbox and just be like, look, I won 2 Hall of Fame competitions. My console
I need
has
a whole
been
nother
stolen.
TV and another Xbox. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I played through the original Figment. I still think the second one's better. It's a very sort of basic kind of hack and slash with some puzzle stuff. I liked it quite a bit. It's not overly difficult, but it's also not dead simple. There's the collectibles are maybe a little harder to find, but it is very much like the second game. There's one achievement that's quite glitchy, which is to defeat every spider in this area. There's a trick where I will tell you if you're listening. There's a trick when you get to Clock Town, where and you can find it in the solution as well. It's not in the walkthrough, but it's in the solution. When the spiders spawn, if you roll away, they'll despawn, and you roll back and they spawn and despawn. If you do that enough times, the achievement will just unlock. Basically, it'll trigger the requirements, so you don't have to worry.
Right. So it's based on the number of them not. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a little bit, if you pardon the pun, buggy, because apparently the number of spiders.
Spiders, they're not technically
They're
bugs.
arachnids. This is true. And technically, bugs are actually only insects that suck. So if you want to get really, really into it, but yeah, like again, I've just been playing some like smaller stuff, nothing too exciting there. But it was a decent game. It was a good way to spend 3 or 4 hours. F1 closures. Who's been playing F1?
All right, so most of the stuff that I've been playing is really just the closure stuff, and it's mostly because I've been finding people that are kind of on the end of the closures themselves, going, I need someone to do these with, and I've kind of jumped on and done them. So I've been doing some stuff with Cobra Todd and a couple of other people. We did F1 2013 first, and going back to F1 2011 after 2013 is so different. Like it actually is a little bit more challenging because the AI from 13 and 14 start to get really knowledgeable. Like they're really so much better. 2011, 2013 we barely were able to, me personally, able to like really take off to the start of the pack in that game. But in 2011, you could basically, once you got to the front, you were basically at the front. You were good to go. So you were able to steamroll that game really quite quickly. It wasn't until like the second half of 2013 that really we were able to get through a lot of the stuff. For context, you had to do a bunch of online races, which is just you and your friend just going online, do that stuff. But then you had to do the co-op championship where you had to win as a driver. And then you had to, so the most points as a driver, and then you had to do the co-op championship, constructor championship goal, which was basically as a team overall having the most points all up, which is kind of confusing because you don't really know what constructor is if you're not in that world. You're like, what the fuck is this? But yeah, so it's basically an achievement for doing best individually and then doing best as the team, which don't really in co-op unlock until the very end, which is 19 races, and then we're doing like 15 laps. Not 15 laps, 15 minutes of qualifying laps, ending it early if we can, but just trying to get a good time to get pole and then moving on. But yeah, 2011 was so much easier. I haven't managed to do the games for Windows for 2011. Apparently everything's peer-to-peer. They were saying, I think in some tweets or something, that you really didn't have to worry too much about the older games because it was only the race driver net stuff that they had, which was like leaderboards and all that kind of stuff that was going to go down. The problem with 2013 is there's one where you have to access the My F1 RaceNet stuff to get access to a classic car, which you had to go into time trial mode to actually do. And they go down, today? Today they should be down in maybe this morning, I think, for Americans or something.
Yeah.
And so if that's the case, you can no longer get that, and that might be the thing that's locked out, if anything at all. But yeah, those old RaceNet features, it should be fine as far as I'm aware. I'm yet to load up a game to see if they still work. But if they do, we don't have to worry about it. It's only from 2017 or 19 onwards that really had actual servers to worry about. So I wouldn't check in about this again, but hopefully the games will just still work. And maybe I can get the Games Winners one. So, yeah.
Cameron, I want to hear your thought about Doctor Who, because I heard you ranting about it the other day.
So I was really having choice paralysis the other day, and I wanted to keep on theme, started a whole bunch of games.
No, what you wanted to do was play Vermintide.
Yeah,
nobody was playing ball.
Brad's fault.
Yeah,
wanted to play. Sometimes you got to get on Dead Island 2.
Yeah, and I'm trolling. I'm going. I really like that Cameron just really wants to play Vermintide. It's a shame that we're really just playing this as a group, right? So.
Goddamn Brad.
Anyway, get stabbed.
Talk about Doctor Who. That's what we're here for.
All right. So what's the best way to put this? I've recently got into the Doctor Who stuff again. I watched all the Christmas specials that were last year. I'm eagerly awaiting to see what they do with Cootie's Doctor. I really liked David Tennant. Basically, Doctor Who: The Lonely Assassins. What's the best way to explain this? It's just like a bi story, kind of like.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a bi story about the Weeping Angels.
This is the phone one, right?
Yeah, it's the phone one. It's
basically it's Simulacra.
Yeah.
But with Doctor Who on.
But like with a IP to it that they've spent all their money on getting a famous actress to do like 20 seconds of voice lines. It's bad. so bad.
It's an interesting idea because they're taking what is the probably in many people's eyes the best episode of Doctor Who ever made, right? Which is Blink.
Blink, yeah.
Yeah, this is what that episode is based on, basically going back to a lot of those characters and going back to the location about the Weeping Angels, because that episode ends with them, spoiler, being stuck.
Yeah.
And so it's like, cool, done. And it's like, well, what happens if they ever come unstuck, I guess, is kind of the central conceit of this episode.
It's an interesting concept, but I'm just like, how, unless you're like a die-hard loyal fan, like, when are you going to play this? And even if you are a die-hard loyal fan, like, are you going to sit through a few hours of this kind of gameplay to play a Doctor Who game? Like, what's the other Doctor Who's this is part of a 2-pack. I'm interested to see what that gameplay is.
So what is the gameplay in this is
like,
what I haven't worked out.
Basically going through a phone, I guess like detective kind of unscrambling messages. Like
doing little puzzles.
Yeah, little puzzles. It's like go to the next string, identify this photo, go back, say, oh, this photo was strange, and then continue on. There is a guide that I used on TA, which makes it like about an hour and a half completion, I would say.
Okay.
They mentioned in the guide that you can get soft locked in about halfway, but I didn't have it happen. I think it might have been a early dev, like after release kind of issue, but I know towards the end it got like a little bit interesting, but I'm like, it's a lot of it's asking you a lot for like a little payoff.
Yeah. You haven't played the other Doctor Who game, right?
No, I haven't. I thought I owned it, but I don't. I was going to do it straight after.
I'm curious if you pick that up. I'm curious to hear your thoughts about it, because
is that the Edge of Time?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, I just got that on PSVR, so
which because it was a VR game originally, so they kind of ported it. It is a little bit VR-y in terms of like, hey, look at all these cool environments that you can walk around for a bit. Let's say walking simulator with some puzzles.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I just like. It might just be me because the latest episodes have been so strong with David Tennant returning.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
I'm with you. I love David Tennant. I think it just says more about where Doctor Who is as a show, but I do not want to get into it because we will be here for fucking hours if I talk about fucking Doctor Who, because I was a huge fan of it originally.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about Lonely Assassins.
Yeah, fair. I finished up Grand Theft Auto 3, the definitive edition. So I talked a little bit about it last week, where I was putting some serious time into it. So I just like sat down and just played it. It's the main thing I've been playing this week.
Sorry, just want to clarify. This is part of the remakes that.
Yeah,
cool.
the very rough trilogy that they brought out, a remake trilogy.
Can I ask how's the quality of it?
They definitely patched it up quite. It's a lot better.
Okay.
Than like when at release, at least for 3. I haven't.
Yeah. How's the rain these days?
Yeah. I've only been playing through 3, and I think 3 had the least amount of problems when it first came out. I think most of the issues with San Andreas and a little bit with Vice City. I did also just like start Vice City, but I mean like literally do the first mission. So I don't have much to say there yet, but. It was really cool going back to this game. I kind of talked more about it last week. It's very nostalgic, kind of weird to like look at a game that I realized that I never actually finished when I played it originally. Like I was too young to really understand how the game worked. So I remembered the first island so well because I spent so much time just spawning tanks and doing cheats and blowing things up. But basically from like the second island and third, like I was like, oh, this is like quite new to me. Like I don't remember or even know a lot of the stuff here. I never 100% of this game before. And so I had like a really good time like going back and playing it. The game still has a lot of jank. Like it is still very much a game from like 2001, I think it was, or 2000, somewhere around that era. But again, I'm kind of repeating myself from last week, but it's so interesting to see the beginnings of open world game design in a way. It's like in such a pure form. It's like, this is the thing that influenced probably the next 30 years of game development. It's like, it's nuts to think about. Like we're in 2024 and there is still stuff from like oh, I can see this thing here, or I can see this thing here. Like it's like go to an area, guy talks to you, and you go and do a mission, and it's like that was that was open world game design forever for a long time, and like you played a silent protagonist, and then in Vice City they're like, yeah, maybe the guy should talk, and maybe we should get the guy from Goodfellas to fucking be the guy who voices him, and like it's so interesting to see that evolution. And now going back, I'm like, some of these mechanics are still pretty good. The game's still like the driving I have a lot of fun with. The shooting is still fucking awful. Like they took them a long time. Like GTA has never had good shooting. Like GTA 4 was still incredibly bad. I think 5 is better. 5 is a lot better, but it's never been about the gunplay. It's more been about stealing cars and driving fast and like dodging the cops and shit. And so like that is still very true in this game. It did wear a little bit thin, and there are some weird difficulty spikes towards the end where the game is just kind of not greatly balanced. Like because there's no cover system, and it's like, oh, you want to shoot someone? You basically just stand there and aim at them and just and it's like, well, I'm getting shot at the same time and I can't really do much about it.
Yeah.
You know, but it was maybe a little bit of a grind to 100%, you know, like because you got to do all the jumps, all the packages, get like level 12 on it, like put out 60 fires, kill 60 things with a cop car, and you're kind of like, okay, like I'm kind of like there isn't that much. Like the last third of the game or the last island that you go to, I was looking at like the mission list, and it's like the first area has like 20 missions, and then the second area has like maybe 15 to 20 missions, and then the last area has like 6 or 7 really. And you're kind of like, okay, it really feels like the last area is much smaller and kind of a bit more phoned in and not as well designed. And so I just kind of felt like, well, okay, like they kind of were running out of steam maybe a little bit towards the end there. But still really, really good to play. I have Vice City downloaded, and I'm not sure if I'm going to jump into it straight away, but it's there. And I like Vice City is the one that's like one of those games from my childhood that I played way too early. But yeah, I'm very, very excited to play it at some stage.
Are you going to do 6 when it comes out?
I don't know yet. We'll see. I feel like the way the online became such the central pillar of 5, like because I played 5 at launch.
It's a platform essentially.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I loved 5, but when I played 5, I picked it up at launch, and I played it, and like the online wasn't even on back then. Like they hadn't even turned it on yet. It was, and I played it on the 360, and they're like,
it was like a year later or something, wasn't it?
I was like a little bit. It wasn't. Like
it was a while.
It was a few months or whatever. But and I remember like when the day it came online, I just did like the first race. I got like number 1 point on the leaderboard. That was fun. I guess because it was probably regional or whatever, just hadn't updated it that day. So you just like everyone who did the race on the first like hour of the game was like, hey, you're the best in the world. And then like I didn't go back to it till the stuff was shutting down because it just didn't really interest me. And I'm very like 6 is going to be so online heavy. It has to be, right? Like I'm so curious what the mix is going to be, because 5's online being so successful was not intentional, right? That was a happy accident for them. They knew it was probably going to be like big, but they didn't think it was going to be the biggest thing ever made.
There was meant to be like story DLC and everything.
Exactly, right. So. And they said that 6 will have story DLC as well. So
yeah, I'm dreading the heist system. Whatever they do with that is just going to be dreadful.
It saddens me that I can't just enjoy GTA as a single player experience really without having to just feel like I'm just being bombarded with all the stuff that I'm missing with the multiplayer, because it just doesn't really gel with me. But so we'll see. I'm keeping an open mind about it because I do. Yeah, it will be huge, but yeah.
That discussion could be the same with like 360 games and tacked on multiplayer. It's interesting because like you think like the jump from GTA 5 to GTA 6 is like 13 years. No, sorry, not 13, 11 years. And I still remember like making posts around like GTA 5 coming out. It would have been, 11 years ago. Would have been like just 18, something like that, right?
Yeah.
Like Target was banning all the R-rated video games because of GTA 5.
Yep. And it's so weird to think about where we are as an industry, but I kind of get what you mean. Like it was tactile multiplayer with the 360, and now it's kind of like the live service treadmill battle pass thing that kind of pushes me away from those kinds of games, unfortunately, where I'm just like at AAA games. I'm like, what am I signing myself up for here?
That's why you jump on like the remaster trilogy, because you think
Exactly. I'm like, yeah, it's like, it's simple. Like, it is just what it is, and I know they're not going to change anything or add anything to it, but I'm totally okay with it. Like, I'm gonna have a great like 25, 30 hour experience and just move on with my life.
I wouldn't
They
even mind going
literally
back to
didn't
one.
add anything to it. It was
That's
AI.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind going back to one. One was like one of the first PlayStation 1 games I ever played.
I wonder if they'll ever bring those back. It'd be interesting.
Top-down experience.
But yeah, and then the last thing that I've kind of been playing, I've been jumping around doing a lot of stuff, but I started Tales of Arise, which just got added to Game Pass recently, but I already owned. The DLC was on sale, so I picked it up and I was like, fuck it, now's the time. I had put like 3 hours into it, so I'm still very, very early for like an 80-hour RPG. But I'm really liking the systems and the way it works, and like this is the second second Tales game that's come to Xbox after Tales of Vesperia. Tales of Vesperia is one of my favorite games. It's such a good RPG. Like, it's systems anyway. I could go on for ages, but so I was very excited to play this. I'm digging it so far. I'm still, like I said, very early days. I'm playing an amnesiac who can't feel pain, and also who's now teamed up with an enemy who's like a person from an enemy faction who shocks and hurts anyone that touches her. So I'm like, okay, this is an interesting. Okay, I can see where this interesting combo is going. But yeah, like I like how it looks. Voice acting is great. I'm like, oh, I know that voice actor. I know that voice actor. I know that voice actor. Like, they've got some good talent for this. Very curious to see how it goes. I'm probably not going to try and rush it too much, but this is probably going to be my project game for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, the DLC for that one, it's expensive. Yeah,
it was. Yeah, it has been expensive. It finally went on sale a few weeks ago.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. And I've heard that you have to start at level 65, even though you've grinded to level 100 or something.
Oh, really? I haven't. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mess in terms of like, and you don't really get to link your characters or anything like that.
It's quite separate. Yeah, it's like a very separate kind of campaign thing, but it's like
a
separate 20-hour campaign, which is kind of interesting, I guess. But yeah, that's kind of everything I've been playing. Anyone else want to jump in?
Do you want to do your Armored Core first?
Yeah, I'll speak about it because I finished the story in that one. I can kind of see, like, Armored Core Verdict Day was basically like an addition to 5, and 5 was only around for a little while, and they shut it down and stuff like that. And then they didn't want to split the audience. They brought Verdict Day out, and they shut down those servers, and this one's now shutting down. But I mean, there is so much stuff in this game, lore-wise, where if you really dug into it, you really see what's going on. Because at the end game, so now that I'm done with the story, it's kind of left with this world area. It's like a world map, and you get to choose kind of where you originally come from, and then there's 3 factions you get to choose between. But you can actually freely kind of swap factions. In the sense that, like, it tells you you have to be part of a certain faction until the end of the war. But there are grace periods for like an hour where you can kind of verse any world boss and stuff like that. But I haven't gone ahead and swapped factions at all or anything like that. But basically, there are 3 factions. You can only ever verse factions that you aren't part of. Right. And the only way you can verse the world bosses in endgame are to swap factions because you can't verse the bosses that are part of your faction.
So you need to change and go and fight them, right? Yeah, that makes sense.
So it is possible to swap them. And I know some people are basically, you have to do 6 missions, 6 normal sorties to access 1 attempt at a special boss. And sometimes it's not a special boss, it's a PvP multiplayer match or something like that, if you've got like more people playing. I've tried solo the bosses once, and I'm not geared up for it yet. And there's not really a whole lot of time until the servers go down. It's like the 31st or something. Oh, sure. And there's a whole heap of grinding you have to do to unlock turrets and all that kind of stuff, just as like a world like base building kind of thing. So next week I'll be hitting that pretty hard, just trying to do all of the endgame stuff. But overall, I enjoyed the way that these games are designed. Like you have some missions where you have to go and shoot certain objectives and stuff like that. But a lot of the missions are just really short. Go in, defeat this boss. Sometimes there's two bosses, and I really dig that because if you geared up really well, it's like in and out, few minutes here and there. Just with all the normal missions, and the world bosses take like 40 minutes sometimes. But
Wow.
and you
Okay.
can
Yeah.
have up to 4 people in that. And you really have to be tactical. I believe one of the hardest ones, kind of dive at you at the start of the match. And if you don't have a special weapon ready that you have to build up, so you kind of like have to build up a meter and hit them right at the right time as they're coming at you for like a one-hit kill on this boss.
Right.
And people have tried it over and over and over again and can't do it. So it's possible to get a one-hit kill on this boss. And if not, you just stuck with this terrible boss for ages. So so there's some really good tactical stuff there if you really kind of get in and change your taxes and stuff like that. But
I'm surprised that they didn't lean in with the co-op stuff more for 6, because
I was wondering about that because it's single player. Do they have much of that?
They have like PvP, so you can play one-on-one PvP stuff, but that's it. So they didn't do any co-op stuff, which is really interesting to me.
This is full like world end game co-op hub stuff. So where to the point where you can use yourself as a mercenary and sit in a lobby and then just wait, and then somebody will enlist you and offer you a mission, and you go and you play with them.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
It's basically like like sitting in a lobby waiting for a match to start, just generally like for hours trying to find somebody or something like that, and then somebody finally wants to enlist you. You go in and do a mission with them. And it's really good. So
interesting.
Yeah. So there's a lot of really complicated stuff, but the problem with all of that is that they've never sorted themselves out. And these games are Namco Bandai, and they just kept shutting them down. So it's no wonder why they just wanted to get away from all of that, because they've dealt with all this shit before, right?
Yeah, they don't
and
want to maintain it. Yeah.
If they could bring these games back in 100% single player capacity with maybe some of the multiplayer PvP stuff, just so people can experience it, because you can't really do like the Armored Core 5, and Verdict Day is the only thing available on the 360 store to purchase or download. And everything else is expensive and hard to get, or not accessible with stupid achievements. Like actually, for Answer, which is the second part, the expansion basically to 4, has a win 10,000 matches achievement.
Oh God. Okay. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So this game's been through all kinds of bullshit. So. For the series, so
I feel like Armored Core as a series would do really well with the remaster collection of some of the older games. I think so. Now that 6 has done so well,
yeah,
and obviously the older games are very different, but like I feel like now's the time, right?
Yeah. I definitely think that they could push into it a little bit more. Definitely.
Anything else you've been playing, Kia?
Well, I mean, that's just really leads into the stuff that I've been playing with Cameron, really. What do you want to talk about first?
Let's talk about Lightyear Frontier.
Yeah, let's talk about this game. I can commend you on one thing with this, is that you're doing a stellar job carrying me through it, because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm just walking around just collecting stuff. I've got 2 upgrades, and Cameron's like, I'm going to work on this next. And I'm like, okay.
All right, so... The easiest way to explain this game is you start up, you walk into like this forest kind of thing, and you grab your mech suit. First thing you do is you get your mech, and then you start doing the, level 1 resource management of starting up a hub area, making your small little tent, making a few oil press machines and all that. This is very much the Gunk meets your typical survival crafting level game.
Right.
The positive thing is, it is a 10 to 12 hour completion. We have done 80% of the game in 2 nights. And the achievements in co-op are very friendly. So we've got like probably 6 achievements left out of 26. Your first... It's very much one of those, go to this area, get this particular item you're missing for the next upgrade your mech. But yeah, this like the only criticism I have of this game is game preview crashes a lot.
Right.
We have to be.
It does.
Like, I mean, when I say a lot, we probably had 2 to 3 crashes last night over the space of 4 hours.
Yeah, and it depends on whether or not you're a host or not. If you're a host, everyone gets ditched back to the main menu.
Yeah.
And if you are not the host, you basically either get
You just disconnect
sent
and
back
need
to
to
the dashboard or have to, So So it is a bit tricky with that. So
in terms of co-op experiences, this is one of the best Game Pass games that I played this year. Like, I'm actually really enjoying it.
Okay.
It's only 2.5 gig, but the environments, I would say it's like gunk level of beauty.
Sure.
Like decent looking environments. It's that 4-player co-op where, you know, how we've basically been doing it at the moment. Todd's the gardener. Todd will go and mentor the garden for me and all that.
Yeah. He's like, oh, I'm just doing the gardening because no one else wants to do it. And I'm like, that's great.
Yep.
So
I'm basically in the center of our 2 bases, going like, we need this to progress. Kio's off exploring caves and that, and then getting resources I need.
There's a lot of resources that are exclusively in caves, and you have to sleep basically to restore the caves and the resources to get them to pop up. But one of the ways it works is that you have to feed the animals to restore the area to get more likely, not restore the area as in complete the area because that's separate. It's more like once the area is habitable by animals, the happier the area is with the
better resource production.
You get better resources. Right. When you sleep, wake up, there'll be more resources in that area. So, you go back to the areas and you get more resources. As well.
It seems like very chill too, like not your average sort of like survival, like, oh no, like I'm running out of air and food and all that kind of stuff. It seems a little bit more laid back.
There's no like dying or elements of that. It's very much like we're going to give you an upgrade system that is basically get resource, then allows you to get bigger resource, like your Minecraft kind of level.
Sure, you're sort of traditional, like use the thing to get the next thing to get the next thing.
It is very spreadsheet heavy, with in the sense that you have an item that needs 2 items, and those items need to be made by these items, and then
it's a set map though, so you always know where like the particular resources are spawning. And then you just put like a house or something next to it, or you put a sign saying red crystals.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, we were collecting resources and putting them into the crates and stuff like that. But one of the problems is, I think we worked out how it works is that.
I think we worked out Cameron has a system and we're going to break it.
No. That is one of the problems, but that's mostly your problem with me. That's
not a game problem.
This is a glitch where if there's items in there and you take stuff out, but then you put some of them back, they disappear.
Okay, I'm not convinced in this. So it's a proximity thing that stuff is in your chest, and when you're when you're building something, it takes from the chest. But there's been a few moments where we'll get an hour or 2 later, and it's Stevie's like, "Oh, I had some iron ore in the chest, and it's just disappeared." I'm like, "There's 4 of us here. Surely somebody's just taken it without telling anybody." Or
this is Among Us level bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. I need an emergency meeting.
Yeah. So
we need a spreadsheet of just everybody taking particular stuff.
That's so funny.
But honestly, this is a really good game that pros and cons. Playing it solo, you're going to be able to go to sleep quicker and all that, and not have to worry on people and get materials generated quicker. I think best thing to do is get a team leader, get 4 people, and then all assign each other a task.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
You'll have achievements that correspond with each individual player, like feeding 50 animals. It's like scare 10 animals, feed 5, feed 20, feed 50, something like that.
Yeah.
Which you'll all have to do individual, but there's regions that as soon as it's cleared up, you'll all unlock that achievement, or you've got to get your base to coziness level 3, which is basically just putting a whole bunch of stuff around it to build that score up. And then as soon as somebody walks in proximity of the base, and it's like honestly very very forgiving. You could be like,
Yeah.
I don't know, 50 meters that way, and it's still going to unlock for you. But yeah, this is a ton of fun. It's one of those games that I kind of hope gets like DLC in the future, just so I can.
It sounds like they're looking to add more to it.
Yeah.
Going down the line from
Yeah,
I think I was reading the TA article about when they announced the achievements and stuff for it and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't know
it's easy to understand list too.
The achievement name or something, but I mean, it's like earn all achievements or stuff in X area.
Right.
Like,
okay. So they can just add a new area with
so
more
it's
achievements.
Like, well, yeah, they could just build it out that way.
And it looks like the vault that we're on, like, because every time we clear an area, there's like a Borderlands style vault, which like one purple light like turns on. It looks like it's half the map. We haven't been in there yet, so I don't know what kind of.
Well, that's the thing. Like when it says you have to do all of this stuff in one area, I'm like, does that mean there's actually more? Because it's naming the area. It's not complete the game or get everything. It's complete this area, and then do we move on?
Well, a lot of these,
Far Cry
like
2 thing.
A lot of these like biome kind of, or a lot of these like game preview games do like one biome at a time, right?
Yeah.
So it, like potentially could see them rolling some others out in the same way that kind of like Valheim did.
The I would just say game preview. The only other bug I can think of is I didn't experience this, but I believe Keo, Stubby, and Todd did. The task list just disappeared for them. They just had to.
No. I didn't have the problem. But
okay, Stubby and Todd then.
Yeah, that was after one of the crashes. Yeah.
Yeah, but like for the most part, it's just game crashes. So just only advice I can give is just save frequently. There's a save button in the menu. I thought I got myself soft locked as well in a area because you can basically tip the mech. So if you jump too fast, it just like tips over.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, guys, I'm stuck. And then 5 minutes later, we realized in the menus there's a help I'm stuck button that transports.
Yeah. Once it tips over, you have to get out of your mech to flip it up. And once you flip it up, it just flies in that like a couple of feet in the air to right itself.
Sure.
There's some physics of the mech that are funny.
Yeah, it's very floaty. There's a station where you have to upgrade your mech, and I got stuck for ages in this because the prompt, which is X to
the X
basically get back in your mech, disappeared. So normally you'll look at your mech and it's like, X button to get in. You have to hold it and it builds up a thing and you get into your mech. That disappeared, and it really all I had to do was do that in front of the mech, and I would have gotten in my mech.
Right.
But we were sitting here at the station going, I don't know what to do. Let's just dismantle the mech because you can take off the legs and arms and the screen and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, but now it's just the shell sitting there hovering and it's stuck there. And I'm like, well, we'll put it back together. But the pieces despawn of the mech very, very quickly. Mm-hmm. So then I'm like, where's these other pieces? It's like, I'll put them on the ground right there. But you just go to that station and you actually go, spawn this part, this part, this part.
Right.
Because they do have customization stuff that you can buy into to change and edit all that stuff. But we've just got the basic setup. So, I spawned all the bits in, put them back together, and I'm like, I still can't get out. So it wasn't until I realized that the prompt had just disappeared. And I don't actually think I have that prompt anymore. The X to get in may or may not be missing, but it still works. So, yeah. So it's not broken. It's just
a little buggy. Yeah, okay. That's interesting. Might have to have a
great
look at
game,
that
though.
one,
I definitely recommend, like...
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? You know the person that would love this game the most? Char.
Char
this is
probably
a perfect Char game.
I'll let them know. Although they should be listening to the episode anyway.
Yeah. And the last one I just quickly want to touch base on is after my struggles of finding a game to kind of sink my teeth into, I started Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. Yeah,
I saw this. I was interested. I didn't realize they had this on your radar.
I
did start it. I did start when I say started, I was like, I did the Raditz fight, and that's pretty much it.
Okay. So I grabbed a whole stack of 360 games last week, and I briefly mentioned it to you guys in the party. I started Pin My Ride, but then the console crashed, and I'm just having trouble with 360 games at the moment. So I went, All right. What's a game that's on my radar that I can jump into? And I think, given circumstances around Dragon Ball Z's creator passing away, I thought I'm going to do Kakarot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna split this into a few different parts. So, to give a basis to where I am in the story, I am up to the Android Saga.
Wow, so you got through all of Namek already?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, shit.
So
That's, that's about
I've
halfway through.
I've skipped cutscenes and all that because I
Yeah, okay. I mean, you know the story of Dragon Ball Z. Yeah, that's fair.
I've watched it before. I understand it. Like, a lot of it's just like you have the story recaps, everything, just giving you the refresher. I'm like, I know what part of time this is. But then Android Saga wasn't listed as one of the achievements, and I think Android Saga is like one of the longer ones, right?
Well, it technically feeds into the Cell Saga, so it's kind of...
Yeah, I think with this one, they're just treating it as all the Cell Saga.
Yeah, which I think makes sense.
I'll
tell you, once you're done, I'll tell you the funny story behind that.
All right, cool. So, pretty much where I am, I just finished the fight between Vegeta and Android 18.
Where he gets his ass kicked.
Where he gets his ass kicked. That is actually a tough fight. Android 20 is a massive pain in this game because it will just keep on taking your health.
Absorbing, yep.
Yep. Even on easy, it's just... I used way too many health potions, basically.
No, really? Okay, yeah.
So in terms of the, like, faithful to the anime, I think for the most part, this is like 90%. It's pretty, like, I skipped cutscenes because I'm just like, this is the exact same story. In terms of the combat and the gameplay, I think this is freaking amazing. Like, it feels like I am actually playing what I would expect the show to be like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in like Kingdom Hearts 3, where you got like those grand scale kind of
the
battles?
big fights.
Yeah, that feels like this. This feels like that. And the diversity of characters. Biggest fan I know is Nikita with Dragon Ball Z, and I was having a conversation with her about it because she's always heard that Kakarot was pretty average.
Yeah.
In terms of what it is, and Xenoverse are the proper games if you want to play. But I mean, like, just not having any experience with Dragon Ball Z games before, I think this is a great point. I can understand people's hesitation with a lot of the, like, this was promised as more of an open world game, but it's very do the story mission kind of stuff, go to different
and just
places.
With extra shit around the edges, basically.
Yeah, it's very much a follow the path, but it has open world environments.
Right.
Kind
of like Mafia in a weird way.
Yeah, actually, that's probably not that far off of a comparison. But yeah, I'm really enjoying my time with it. The combat, the diversity in combat with all the fighters feels great. I think the only one that I've kind of like been a bit on was Gohan, like early on.
Right.
Like I'm training under Piccolo, but like as soon as you get to the point where you go Super Saiyan, I'm like, this is so enjoyable.
Yeah.
What else was I after? Some particular fights a little bit more troublesome than others, just because of how the certain characters have, like Android 20, like I explained. Other than that, I think the cleanup might be the biggest issue with this. Like collecting 20 sets of the Dragon Balls and having a 20-minute cooldown timer. But I mean, I've got half the achievements already, and that was in 3 days, so...
It's pretty good, yeah. Yeah, I'm really curious. I think I just need to spend some time getting into it. But I think my main kind of thing with it straight away is like there's quite a bit to remember straight away. Because it's like Dragon Ball Z, they're like, you have all the abilities from the front. It's like, okay, you need to remember how to do key blast and special attacks, but also the classic like teleport behind them thing, and also like the blocking and then combos, and like there's quite a bit to kind of wrap your head around to start with, even if you're playing on easy.
So, yeah, I checked on easy. I think the biggest advice I can give to anybody playing this game is just make sure that you have your health potions set whilst in fight. Just get a whole bunch of them, because there will be moments where you don't want to go back a fight essentially just because you haven't had the ability to heal.
Yeah, right.
Like that RPG kind of gameplay.
A question, because I've not actually watched Dragon Ball the show and not played any of the games. This is probably more for you, Matt. In terms of a place, if you had to play only one Dragon Ball game to get the best representation of like a game, animated game translation, what would you play out of all the series?
This one's probably not a bad one to go for. I mean, like the biggest problem with Dragon Ball Z games is that the anime is so beloved and popular that it's like anytime they try to do content outside of it, it doesn't really work. Like, let me put it this way. I have played through the Dragon Ball Z storyline probably about 30 times over the years, from like fighting games, from like back in the GBA days. Like it's always the same. Like they'll do different ways of doing it, and like obviously because it's like the games are like, well, we'll expand this, or we'll do like side quests or that kind of stuff. But it's still like, I'm gonna fight Raditz first. I know what's gonna happen in that fight. Like I was like, I'm gonna fight him as Goku once, and then probably as Piccolo straight afterwards, and then I'm gonna go to Namek. I'm gonna do this fight, and I'm gonna play as Vegeta here, and then I'm gonna fight Frieza's. Like it's like Frieza's first form, second form, like all that kind of stuff. And it's like you know the beats so well, and so it feels like most of them you could probably jump on at any time. The Budokai series is probably not a bad one to go with, because
Nikita
like
says Budokai is her favorite.
Budokai, like the Budokai trilogy is pretty good for that.
Okay, the only thing I have is I nabbed a copy of the 360 Budokai Tenkaichi, is it? The HD?
Yeah, which is, so the original Budokai was a 2D, sort of 3D-ish fighting game, and then Tenkaichi became like an open battlefield, move around kind of fight kind of game. So they kind of expanded the series out. And I think the latest one coming out is going to be in that genre as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sparkling Zero is the new one, right?
Yeah, Sparkling Zero, which I think is like very much like a Tenkaichi style game.
Yeah. I would say the main thing that Kakarot has going for me is the fact that like you feel like you're in the world. These as much like I was thinking about this the first day that I played it. You know how we have like open world environments that have nothing in them?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is very much the RPG sense of it's a massive open world environment, but it never feels like there's a point that you're getting bored of it, because you're like
you travel across it so fast.
Yeah, you travel across it so fast. You go like A to B so quickly, and then if you dive down to get like a collectible or something, like you'll get stuff for recipes. You'll do sub stories, which are the side quests. You'll just you might get bored for a few seconds, and then you just fly to get orbs, which is the upgrade system for this game. Which I haven't even touched on. Like, you do training missions to essentially unlock special abilities for your characters. And they're all unlocked by spending orbs, which are just freely available over these open worlds. Like, you could just fly for, pardon me, 5 to 10 minutes, collecting orbs, do your upgrades, and then just rinse and repeat.
And getting a few randomly generated fights to get some levels up.
Oh, and then the other thing with if you're massively overpowered compared to some of these fights, you just fly at them and then win them immediately.
Yeah. So it's got a lot of like quality of life stuff. So this is probably not a bad one to jump on. If you kind of want to experience that story as well as like a bit of the wider world as well. But again, like with Doctor Who, I could talk about Dragon Ball Z for quite a while as well. So a lot of of critical moment media.
The other thing for me too is like, I think towards the end of the Frieza saga and then getting to the Cell saga is probably like my favorite bit of Dragon Ball Z.
Agreed.
I don't really care for the early stuff.
Yeah, that's fair. I think
So
I think Cell Saga is where the show really shines.
Yeah, like the androids in that are like probably one of my like Android 18 is Nikita's favorite character in Dragon Ball Z. So
she's great.
Yeah.
I will just say the Android thing. The fun thing was that originally Toriyama came up with Androids 20 and 19, which are the first ones, and they were like, we don't. The publisher's like, we don't really like the design. So it's like, all right, cool. So he made 17 and 18 to be like a cool kind of, with like 16 is the kind of interesting one. And they're like, yeah, we don't really like that either. So he created Cell. And then he was like, they were like, oh, we don't really like Cell either. He's like, fuck you. And he put all of them in the series.
Nice.
And he's like, guess what, motherfucker? These are all going in here and they're all going to lead all into each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, highly, yeah.
I'm really keen to see how Majin Buu does in terms of fighting.
Yeah, that's the after the Cell Saga, the Majin Buu stuff. I mean, most people agree is just not as good. Like the series really could have just ended.
I think just in terms of gameplay though, that's what I'm interested in seeing, like how that translates. Like, I mean, chocolate and all that. Like how that translates.
Well, there's a lot of interesting fights that happen in that part of the series, even though I'm not a huge fan of it from a storytelling perspective.
I just think from like a gameplay perspective, like there's definitely some.
There's a lot of boos to fight. Like he has a lot of different forms and a lot of different abilities and stuff. So
it's definitely the best part of this game going forward. Is just like obviously you know what's coming, but like how well are they going to translate that move? Like how faithful is this to the anime?
Yeah, I'm really interested to get to the Frieza fights and how they do that. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Is that everything?
Yep, that's everything.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I guess we should get into some of our fun little extra stuff that we do. I suppose we'll do leaderboard first. So let's have a look. Who have we got on the leaderboard this week? We have me in third place with 3,835, which is a bit low.
Me? I haven't had me before. Are they a new listener?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, well, look, we get new people all the time, right? This is a growing show, thank you. So we have Neomaster with 3,835. We have Thrash Forever with 4,880. And we have Mad Eye Pad Eye with 10,079. Mad Eye, of course, playing. Yeah, exactly, yeah. Really, Mad Eye playing new games. Yeah. Name a better pair. Kyo, do you want to read through completions?
Yeah, so Firehawk did Green Lantern streaming with his nifty little Green Lantern 3D glasses that came with the game. I think I have those.
I need to watch that.
Cavaliers07 did Valiant Hearts 2. J-Dubs did Somerville. Natolinator did Power Wash Simulator, so I'm guessing the Warhammer update.
Yep, I think it did DLC, yeah.
David Miller did Paw Patrol World. Bex173 did Lego Worlds. Bulbasaur did Mortal Kombat 10. And Professor Pluto did Brotato. But I also want to mention that Zach, so the ZMS who's in chat, also did Rainbow Six Extraction, which I had been playing some with and I've mentioned over the last couple of weeks and stuff like that. Really, really good completion because you have to level up all the characters and do some end game stuff that you can't do unless you're at the end game, which is really annoying because it's 3-player content.
So you got to get some friends who've been playing a lot as well.
Yeah. But yeah, solid effort with this one, and it kind of ties into the event because Rainbow Six is technically
Tom Clancy. All right.
Clancy, which is a team of
sure. You know, I'll give it to you. Tom Clancy's based on books. That's fine.
I need to give him one of these. He hasn't had a completion in the themed event, and I think this is a side thing, even though it's like a fake version because it's Extraction.
Good. I'll give him that. So, exactly. I was going to say. Tom Clancy, well known for writing about weird alien shit. Yeah. Fantastic. Also, we have the word challenge, everyone's favorite competition. It's starting to heat up. People are starting to get the guesses in. Mm-hmm. I'm very curious to see who gets it. But basically, if you don't know what the word challenge is, I come up with a game, put it in our Discord in a channel called the Word Challenge. You go in there and put in the guess for what you think the game is. One guess per hour. If you win, an image or a gift pops up and you win $20. Simple as that. So the clues are, this game has a cancelled sequel. It involves a sport. It has a colon in the title, which is the 2-dot thing if you don't know grammar. And the new clue is this game is set in a future New York. I had the exact year and everything in there, but I figured that might be too much of a giveaway. So this game is set in a future New York, and that's all you're getting. If no one gets it this week, the next week is basically going to be a gimme clue because I really want someone to guess this game. But I think... Yeah.
Stevie's asking what he missed. He missed his opportunity for the word challenge.
He missed the word. Yeah, mate, you missed the clue for the word challenge. You're going to have to wait until it gets added to the bot.
It's okay. He's only joined to be like, when are these guys getting off so we can play Lightyear?
Yeah, exactly. He's trying to really push us along.
Yeah.
I want to get my McDonald's, so let's get out of here.
Oh man, I want McDonald's too.
Oh mate, they're doing Uber Eats is doing, if you spend $25, they give you an extra free 10 pack of nuggets. So I'm like,
it's like $40 here to do that.
You, Jesus, yeah, all right.
Yes.
Completely off topic, but because I subscribed to Uber One because I'm a fucking idiot. But I happened to go into the menu because I got like a code, and as I went in there, and I was like, "Hey, you've saved like $4,000 through Uber One." I was like, "That means I spend way too much on Uber Eats. Holy shit! Right, that's how much I've saved. Fuck."
Yeah, it's like it's just like we should never been given the data for our poor life choices.
Exactly. Like I was much
Yeah.
happier living in ignorance with not realizing how much money I must have fucking wasted. Anyway, Patreons, Cameron, do you want to read those out?
Yep. So we have Lee Howard, Mikhail KV, Natalator, Mad Lefty 2097, Admiral Awesome, Heavy Moogles, Kung Fu Skills, Hack and Pone, Cavalier 07, Odd Mick Clown, Mark B, Mick Levin, Legend, Mace Edge, Left for Legacy, and McNulty. Thank you guys.
Amazing. Thank you guys so much for your support. Literally couldn't afford to do the show without you guys. And if you are interested in becoming a subscriber to our Patreon, all the tiers get access to all the content, no matter how much you want to give, from $2 all the way up to fucking $1 million if you're, an oil baron or whatever. And we put out our content, any extra content we do, any kind of special episodes we record, and the kind of before and after shows as we do them. So feel free to check them out there. Cavalier 07 did shout out and he does actually listen to them, and so does Lee Howard. So that's great. I'm glad some people listen to the content.
Good.
That's
fantastic. Whole 2 listeners.
Exactly. Hey, you know what? They're giving us money. I'll take it. And that's going to bring us to the end of the show. Xbox Hall of Gamers is the place to find us on Twitch as always. Come hang out with us and our community members. We've got Simone in here. We've got Zach. We've got Stubby, Left for Legacy, joined us talking about chicken nuggets.
Talking about chicken nuggets now.
Chicken nuggets, mate. It's a universal lover. Even vegans love it.
What about beef nuggets? What about fish nuggets?
Beef. I mean that's like, I don't know. Like beef nuggets never took off because I feel like the texture of beef is not quite right for nuggets. I think they've never got it quite right.
Hungry Jacks here have started doing their version of it, a cheeseburger bowl.
Interesting. Okay, yeah.
It is god awful.
That's
so. I ate it, and then my mind was just like, "Is this a dim sum?"
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to bring us into the show. Cameron, have you got anything you want to share beside fucking Hungry Jacks? Apparently.
I don't know. I might go get some chicken nuggies myself.
Yeah, right, that sounds great. Kia, what about you?
Yep. So you can catch me streaming on Twitch when I stream at Kia Live at Home. You can see the notifications on Twitter at Kia Live at Home as well. YouTube is at HTFG Play, and I have an Instagram account at the moment where I've only posted a few times, but you can catch some little short snippets of the streams that I do. I put them up there, and today I posted a nifty little crafty thing that I did. So you'll catch a few little things like that as well, which is really cool. So
amazing.
Speaking of Instagram, I'm 7 achievements away from completing Instagram.
Okay, all right. Yeah, let's. I do not want to turn this into the social media.
All right, we came full circle here with the achievements.
Yeah. I got to gamify my job. It's fine.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Gamify life. All right, well, that's going to wrap up episode 116. A huge thank you to my host, and a huge thank you to Char, who I forgot to thank last week and reminded me immediately.
Wow.
I know. They weren't on the show, but they were producing the background, and I completely forgot to thank them. So a huge thank you to Char for being a wonderful
I'm sorry. I was busy last week, Char.
Yes.
I would not let this slide.
Yeah, exactly. But thanks all for listening. We will catch you guys next week. See you later.
Bye, everyone.
Peace out.